Nobody seems to be interested in designing that. I don't understand. We all praise the sum for its dexterity, but we don't develop hands that will have two or be it three sums. And mechanically, it's not impossible. What about having a hand that can reverse, can grip from one side and then grip exactly the same way on the other side? That's also mechanically feasible. Of course, it's a little challenge. That would be very interesting from a control viewpoint. No,
Mm.
no design there. So maybe we need to change a little bit the field. We're tackling here another issue. Why have hardware people from traditional hardware separated from the software people? Is because it's difficult to publish when you design in your robotic arm or your
Mm.
robotic hand. It's not a soft hand. And so then they don't belong to academia. They belong to the industry, and they have their own needs there, and they have to produce something that people want. And often, of course, it's not a complete change
Mhm.
over what it. So
Yeah.
maybe there is a need to reconvene and to think that publication and H-index are important, but not as important as getting real new design out there that are
Mm.
different. I don't-
Yeah. I think this point is a very excellent point. I'm curious to ask you the first step about maybe before going to design, because I think that's something you really, I think that's very interesting part. But before that, for the problem or the publication, do you think, physically speaking, now we're still stuck in that issue that you have to publish and you have to care about your index as well? So it is hard for people to go for risk, and that's maybe the reality for yeah in academia. So how do you envision we can get out of that and be more concerned about the problem itself? To be honest, what the problem is.
Okay, I'm the vice president of publication activity at
Yeah.
in Robotics and Automation Society, and one of the goals I've set for myself this year is
Mm.
to make an experiment jointly with some of the associate VP to try to find out how much progresses we're doing in the field these days and if we're really stagnating or progressing. I'm a little worried. I feel that we're publishing more than we actually read, which would be a concern. And if so, then we may be duplicating work, which is not a bad thing if we were to duplicate by comparing. But if
Mm.
we're just duplicating and revisiting the wheel over and over again, which has been done in science, but we have to be careful about that. So I like to see if I'm wrong. And contrary to what I think, we're not stagnating at all and we're progressing steadily or not. Um,
Mm.
I'm worried definitely about the amount of things being published. Um, and I'm not sure that this correlates with the amount of discovery. Um, and so I'm a little concerned there. I'm definitely very concerned about H-index. I have a very good one, but I can speak freely about that. And I think it's a wrong metric, but everybody says so, yet everybody uses it. Because what is difficult is to be able to read papers and be able to tell if the paper has a high impact. And the only way that people measure impact now is by how much the paper is cited.
Mm.
That's true, it's one impact. But you could have a paper that has wonderful ideas. Nobody is citing it because either nobody uses it or nobody understood it. It has nothing to do with really, that's the impact indeed, but it's not with the quality of the paper. So I like to be able to distinguish the quality from the impact. But
Yeah.
yeah, that would be difficult. So to answer your question, I think we need to have people publish. That's normal. We don't want to go back to the stage where we had people doing a thesis for 10 years and not publishing anything. That was the other extreme. Definitely, we don't
Mm.
want that. We want people to propose their ideas to the community and get the feedback on a regular basis. So I think it's very important for PhD students to do that at minimum 3 times during their PhD thesis to get
Mm.
this feedback. But that shouldn't be the metric. The metric shouldn't be how much you publish. It should be that you get this conversation going between scientist to other scientists about your ideas and you progress in your understanding of the problem. So quantity should not be the metric, it should be the quality the metric. And just as an aside, I strongly believe that deadline for conferences is a mistake because
Mm.
nobody should submit on a deadline. People should submit when they feel that their work is ripe. That means that they
Wow,
should have their own metric of what it is.
that's very powerful words. Thank you. I think we need to eat that. So, but realistically speaking, when do you anticipate that would be this pressure and that you have to get this result as soon and you have to be always positive, because it's hard sometimes you have this impact, whatever the impact is, maybe useful product. So I don't know what is impact because it take a lot of time. Sometimes it depends, of course, on the context of that problem or the hard problem you try to solve. But when you anticipate that could be resolved, since you have the deadline, and if you did that, you are a failure because you didn't catch the deadline. Or
I think we have to step back and really ask ourselves, how do we quantify, or I mean, how do we determine that someone is generating new knowledge? And I'm insisting on that, generating new knowledge, not generating new results, no, knowledge first, and new. That's the second part. And once we know how to evaluate that, then maybe we can come back with different metric. Of course, we still need to evaluate that. That's what I'm saying. Someone should not wait 10 years before sending the first publication. You need to actually send that to the world to get this feedback. Am I generating knowledge? Is it new enough? Am I, interpreting my result correctly, etc. That's important to have this conversation going and to have it on a regular basis. So yes, it's important to say you have to do it roughly once a year. But telling the person you have to do it exactly by May 10 that year or by December 10 that year, I think it's treating people like kids. Um, they're adults, they should be able to set up their own deadline. And if it's not exactly 12 months, if it's 13 months or 14 months or maybe 16 months, that's okay. Of course, it becomes 2 or 3 years, that's not okay. So people should be able to to have a sense of how long one thing should take and start getting feedback. But see, I would like people to have a sort of an understanding of really what the goal is in robotics. And the goal in academia in robotics is to acquire new knowledge, is not to design new products. So I think we lose sometimes this goal in mind. We have we have people seeking to get new publication. In that sense, they will pick up the latest algorithm and they will strive to get results that are maybe epsilon better than the other algorithm, and off they go. But then
yeah,
this is not knowledge. This is just new results.
mm.
So how do we? I don't have an easy answer to that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
But
a difficult problem.
I
Um,
think it's very honest answer because you speak it. I think that we need to hear it.